All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just sitting here drinking my morning coffee, looking sexy as hell as usual. That I would wake up, chat with my people, and I'm going to work on a bunch of posts while we do this a little bit, so I got to keep that stuff in flow. But let me check real quick. I don't think I'm going to have access to the live streams again yet, but we'll see. No. So yeah, but I'm going to get a couple other posts done. I'm going to wake up with everyone. Good morning, Callum. Did you get a notification? I assume when I get regulars in this quick, I assume we got a notification went out. All right. All right, let me get my little coffee thing up here. Making a couple of good morning posts to everybody. Busy morning fixing ovens for a rugby game yesterday, hydrating viciously to avoid calf cramps. There you go. Yeah, you're down low working under stuff. All right. You gotta watch those calf cramps, bro. I get it, man. Makes sense. Makes total sense. All right. Makes total sense to me. Give me another minute here, guys. I gotta make a couple posts and then I'll be back over to my people here. But I gotta stay on top of all that. I don't know why with the profile that's been so much slower for my group posts. And I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get that bonus this month. And again, let me be clear, I'm silly about that. I will go so far out of my way trying to get a stupid cash bonus that's not even a day's worth of money. Chugging. Good morning. What's up, Sixer? Give me just another moment, guys. So I can justify these long coffee chats and stuff by working on other stuff while I do it. And I gotta listen to some client stuff too while I'm in here. So don't let me forget. So let me get this post started. Then I have a guy who sends me voice messages. I gotta listen to what he sent me. Where's this group thing? There we go. But as long as we do all that, I can sit in here a long time. I can sit in these a long time as long as I space out posts and do other projects while we go. All right. So what are you chugging? You said you're chugging Volsic. I'm not sure what that is. Not sure what that is exactly. But in the meantime, while we do all that, I'm going to listen to this stuff and watered. Okay, just need water. All right. At the gym. Hello, coach at the gym. Do you have any favorite books? No, not these days. If you would have asked me that many years ago, I would have favorite novels. But I would rather not go into that. Because think about that for a minute, Charlie Biggs. What are common security questions? Next, you're going to ask me, what elementary school did I go to? What was my first car? What was my first pet? We got to think about this stuff. People start asking. No, but I'm serious. Isn't that a security question? What's your favorite book? I don't usually use that one, but still, you know. But still, you get the idea, guys. Uh, all right. Sorry, I'm answering a client here. But you're not a pet guy, coach. Yep. Not really. I mean, I've had pets. I don't want any more pets right now at this point in my life, to be honest. Appreciate it, Rufio. All right. So, have a German Shepherd dog. Cool, man. No, I mean, I like pets. I like dogs. I like cats. I just don't. I don't want any more pets at this point in my life. You know, I don't want nor need them. You know, it's nothing to dislike of them. I like cats and dogs a lot. You know, I like dogs. I get along great with everybody's dogs. I just don't want any pets. You know, the extra responsibilities, the cleaning, keeping hair out of your house. It's not worth it to me. You know, just don't want to deal with all of it. And the responsibility, the downside of when pets die, it's so traumatic, and we way outlive them, right? No, I mean people's dogs. Like I do really well with dogs. Everyone's dogs love me. Everyone's dogs want to jump in my lap when I go over anywhere. They all like me. I get along with them fine. I just I don't want the responsibilities of pets anymore. And when I've dealt with a lot of situations where when pets die, it's traumatic. Like I don't feel the need to put myself through that anymore. You know, don't feel the need. Uh, or you might have a line. Hey Rufio, I like you, bro, but I'm about to have to kapow you. You keep talking about all my personal life out there. First, it was my neighbor's cars asking continual questions. Now you're obsessed with my line. You know what I mean, dude? As someone with stalkers, that makes me extremely, I'm just going to be honest with you and just cut the bull. That makes me extremely uncomfortable. Like last warning, man, I've given you warnings before. We're talking about my neighbor's cars nonstop. You know, now we're worried about my line. It just makes me very uncomfortable. All right, I'm gonna go refill my coffee. Like it sets off my spidey senses. Yeah. Hey Rufio, it makes me feel like you're the guy who calls my neighbors every day with a new phone number. Just an FYI. So makes me think you're that guy. You know what I mean, dude? So do you ask them about their cars? Next. Yeah, why would you think I'm not being serious? Do you look at my face? Do I look like I would make that up? Do you hear any joking in my voice? Sorry, I'm not fully awake yet. All right. Just saying, dude. I'm not the way that I am because of my personal life just to be it's not arbitrary. It's not just because. There's a reason I'm super private. I want to keep my life off the internet at this point. Right? As much as possible. You know, and I want to limit doxing. I know how I was doxed last time, by the way. I already determined how. I know the two pathways by which my address got out within the first 2 weeks of me moving. And I managed to keep it private for 3 years last time. You know, so now that I know how it was done, I know how to avoid it. But technically, I was doxxed within 72 hours of moving. I got a phone call and a person just read out my address. Hater did. You know. So, you know. All right. Seven hungry metals. I know, man. I need to figure out how I'm going to handle them. I got them sitting back there. All right. Yeah. But yeah, the goal with everything I do, keep my personal life off the internet as much as humanly possible moving forward. So the next time I move, it's going to be like, hey, coach, where do you live? I'm not even going to say. Be like, I don't know, somewhere in Texas. Right. Oh, so what do we got going on, guys? Let's get some real conversations that don't involve any of that. Feel like this has been a pretty slow live, pretty slow coffee chat so far, but at least the notifications went out. In any event, Rufio, did you get a notification this morning for this? Because Callum did, so I think we're good there. All right. Yeah, it's a little slow, Callum, but they pick up over time. Once a lot of the regulars get it, but I think I've got it figured out on how to keep the alerts going out. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna have to be careful how many even client vlogs I do, you know. So if I go run this morning, I'm not gonna stream it because the streams don't make enough money from the running to justify a slot. Yeah. Oh, because there are other videos coming up now. Review. I do one video a day. It's not a stream. The lives are going to be the focus for now on the channel. I'll do shorts of some of the training, but then the other stuff is that. The problem is it limits client vlogs for sure because I don't want to do most days more than one video. You know, so I have 3 clients who want to vlog, but if I only train 5 days a week, that's 2 other days. It's like I'm gonna have to be selective in what I do, and that's what their algorithm shows. You know, that's what their algorithm shows. I've been to some old client vlogs earlier. Your original client, like Mikey and Emma, had a lot of videos. Yep, and the current guys don't. Do you notice how few views the current bloggers get? But it's also because my outreach is low. I've essentially dealing with an algorithm shadow ban because I have too much new content. You know, so people don't see the client vlogs. So my vlogs get way more views even than my client vlogs on average. So I mean, even just looking back, I don't think I've had a client vlog crack 300 views in a while. They average 150 to 200. Yeah. What's the difference between them and the OG clients? Algorithm review. It's the algorithm. Because in theory, Ted should be just as popular as Mikey was. And Emma had good appeal as a fit girl, as a fit woman, you know. Yeah. So, that's one reason the videos are way low, but it's working out. Stuff is getting decent views. With lives though, I'm realizing my afternoon lives I needed something hard hitting in the title. All right. And she got those sort of views on Facebook too. So Emma was getting those views on Facebook. Some of her Facebook videos had 9,000-10,000 views too. You know. But she's told me she'll eventually come back as a client, a blogger, long term. It could be quite a bit though. She just doesn't want to train right now, which is understandable, you know. no, definitely. So Mikey did really well though, but it's because I flooded too much content. I mean, ultimately, so but it's working. Like the live streams will help the overall algorithm because it's recognizing the all the engagements here, the super chats, the memberships, all that starts feeding back into their eventual algo, and so they'll come up. So some of the live streams get really good views, you know. But I've got to limit the amount of content I do here. That's really, really the key. Did Doug ever do vlogs? I came across podcasts with him. Yeah, there's vlogs. Rufio, there should be vlogs. We have plenty of them. Did you do a channel search? I feel like people don't understand this. I've had to explain that a lot. Like even one of the guys was saying, "Well, I do search Jason Blaha." It's like, no, why are you searching my name? You go to my channel. Every channel on YouTube has its own separate search engine. And you can simply type Doug into the channel search engine and realize he's got a ton of vlogs. Yeah, he vlogged. Yeah. He vlogged. We did powerlifting meets. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. Also good stuff. One of the guys I do consultations with has already asked, could he apply for coaching? It's like, yeah, hell yeah, come on over. Dude does almost a consultation almost every month. Mm. Pow, and you're out of here. Mm. Another review. Yeah. So what else you got going on, man? Hit that like, by the way, guys. I need to go get coffee. All right, we're back. So the interesting thing will be review. I want to see what happens over the next few weeks with my own training of what happens with my arms, because this is something to think about when we look at the current exercise science world, which is horrifically bad, by the way, because we have two schools of thought which cannot both be true. And we're talking researchers, PhDs, experts in terms of volume and hypertrophy. And the problem is they both have studies to support their data, and they're so divergent that there's no possibility that both are right? Because look at all the researchers who claim that doing too many sets, particularly too many sets to failure, too much volume, will literally blunt muscle growth, as demonstrated in studies, demonstrated with mechanistic data. And yet we have the whole Schoenfeld circle to where there's small amounts of additional muscle growth when you exceed huge volumes. And you got guys like the Milo Wolf who support all that. Okay. But note that I have trained my arms using those approaches all this time. And then my other muscles actually grow faster. Right? Because if the other schools of thought are correct and what Beardsley is saying, for example, Chris Beardsley, about all the research, then I have probably cost myself at least an inch on my arms by doing too many curls and stuff the last few years. If their data is correct. If Schoenfeld's and his circle's data is correct, my arms should have been growing. Because keep in mind, a lot of those guys are literally saying no volume is more important than progressive overload, even. Especially volume with a close proximity to failure. These are divergent schools of thought. So if all of a sudden my arms start growing, as a person who does case studies of documenting all their training, if all of a sudden in a month my arms look bigger, this is a problem for exercise science. Actually, I would be an example of resolving that. Or we could argue that it's a genetic subset. That's been argued in the past too, regarding growth response and hypertrophy. It's genetic subsets there. Wouldn't swear missing out on an extra inch of your arms, just continue to get lean. Yeah. Well, yes, I'll continue to get lean too, but you see my point. I feel like one of the regulars he posts in doesn't like the fact that he's like, well, you look certain leaner or whatever this time last year. And I can't get him to understand I was on really low carbs, and I don't actually have more body fat now. Like my skin folds and stuff would be thinner. I am objectively leaner. But he's not grasping. He's like, you can lose fat on it. It's like, it's nothing to do with fat, guys. It's when I cut carbs out, I drop water. So think about those water cuts and me going really low carbs going into them. Like I looked dramatically different really, really fast. Yeah, the problem with most of these studies, I think, is that the group's usually untrained soccer moms, senior citizens, people that probably don't have proper nutrition. But a lot of Schoenfeld studies are supposedly trained lifters. But I mean, that one was really telling, because one of the guys who's tried to say going over 10 sets in a workout reduces muscle growth. He did a study on the back squat versus the hip thrust. Remember, in that study, those were all advanced female lifters, right? They were advanced women. Like every one of those women could squat more than 2 plates, right? But they all grew on 6 sets. He had them do 6 sets of squats to failure a week. every single one of those women, their quads and their glutes grew. In the study, like on MRI, they got bigger. These were all women who could all squat. Their average squat was like 2.5 plates, right? Their average squat was something like 120 kilograms for the whole group. That's definitely not untrained women. And they were full squats, like they were training them on the full high bar ass to grass squat. And that's what they tested them on. You remember that one? They all grew on 6 sets. Right? No, but that was the whole workout. Josephus, that's all they did for their lower body. They did 3 sets twice a week and went home. They all grew. Every single one of them, their quads and their glutes got bigger. Hanmer says, hello, Jason, good to see you. Haven't been here for 7 years. Haven't been to the gym since then. Now my girlfriend of 6 years cheated on me, so I kind of have that heartbreak motivation. So should I get back? Bro, what do you mean should you get back? Get back in right now. Go to the gym today. Hanmer, go to the gym today, bro. You got to get back in and get it done. Why did you quit working out, man? Come on. We all know after a breakup, that heartbreak gains, man. Every brother has been through this. Those heartbreak gains in the gym, when you get your confidence back, you get your drive back, and you're back in the gym, you might as well be on a mild cycle at that point. Those gains are real gains usually. There's nothing like a man with a broken heart to be motivated to get under a heavy barbell. Right? No, man, you need to get after it. Absolutely. Get on it, bro. Get on it. I put up a question in the middle of the night on Facebook. I'm curious to see people's thoughts. But it's funny because one of the people who wrote back, it's like they still didn't answer the question. I wrote, why are so, because we have in this situation, so why are so many people on Snap who are not disabled and have the ability, why are so many people on Snap who are not disabled and have the ability to work full time? One of the guys wrote, a lot of SNAP recipients do work full time. I'm like, so what's your answer to the question? Notice I didn't say they don't work full time. I said people who have the ability to. Right? I don't understand that. How are this many people on it? I get it if people are medically restricted in some way. They have something restricting them from working full time. Okay, that makes sense at least, right? Facts, last relationship was 6 years ended, and I got my ass back in the gym, and now I'm 30. I'm in the best shape of my life. Went from 280 to 300 pounds down to 190. You see that? Tom, you see what Bocephus said? Brother lost 100 pounds. Yeah. So, Tom, why are you on those machines anyways? You need to be using free weights. So I used to do 6 or 7 days a week training. You don't need that, man. Dude, I got most of my clients do 3 or 4 days. All right. I have one client who does 5 days a week right now on a gram of test plus growth hormone. Let me state that again. I have one client who lifts 5 days a week right now. He is on a gram of test a week plus growth hormone. I don't have anyone else who lifts more than 4 days. All right. So, but I'm going to read this out. So I used to do 6 to 7 days a week training back when I was 20. Now I'm 28. Used to watch all your videos for advice. Problem is, one day I've been on one of those shoulder machines and my shoulders were always pretty strong, but I put with the max weight and my shoulder popped. Doesn't affect my mobility yet, but back then it was painful for 2 months. And after that, I kind of quit. Yeah, man, you got to not do silly stuff like that, you know? So get back in and start light. Stick with barbells and dumbbells for now. Stay off that machine. Dudes get hurt on machines. I think people are surprised how often people get hurt on machines. I regret not taking a proper starting point picture, but I was too ashamed of myself. Hey, man, I did the same. I was embarrassed. So I have to find a few every now and then. Like that one I put up was one I got from family. They sent me a bunch of pictures. So I have some stuff like that. They're actual photographs, you know. It's funny. This shows that this current generation, though, when people ask this stuff, well, why didn't you just take these pictures? Why didn't you film this? Why didn't you film these lifts? And it's just like, my God, people take for granted the technology they have. To me, that baffles my mind, you know, that we're in an age where people are like, well, why didn't you just have video of your lifts in your 20s? And I'm like, I mean, you wanted one of my bros to bring a camera in up on his shoulder and record and put it on a VHS tape. Like, smartphones hadn't been invented yet. They didn't exist. Our phones didn't have cameras yet. You know, right? We're in a different world today, man. We're in a totally different world. You know, totally different world. Oh, let me get a couple other posts going. But that's comical to me that people don't realize that. It's kind of funny. So think about that for a lot of people of what our lives are like in comparison, you know. Which I was one of the people that knew the internet was going to be a big deal. I knew people, older people who were like, it's just a fad. This is just always silly. And I'd realized, no, this is going to be world changing. This technology, this World Wide Web, we didn't call it the internet yet. We call it the World Wide Web. I'm like, this is going to be world changing. This is going to change our lives fundamentally. Right? Yeah. Yeah, I was young and dumb. I don't actually know why I did that back then. I used only military press and lateral raises. Did a bit of gym after that, but got a bit bored. But I'll try to get back. What do you mean try? Tomner, there is no try. There is only do or do not, son. Tomner, you got this. I expect you to report back. Tomner, you're going to go join the gym today. You're going to get started. You're going to do some basic lifts, and you're going to come back in tomorrow's coffee chat, or you're going to come under a comment and you're going to tell us how you got on. Right? That's what's going to happen. That's what needs to happen. There's no try. You're going to get back in. You're going to get in. You're going to get over this girl. You're going to make some gains. You're going to get your confidence back. You're going to get jacked. You're going to get strong. Okay? And I expect you to report back. I don't hear no arguments. I just want to see a yes, sir, yes, coach in the comments. Good. Excellent. Excellent. All right. I believe in you. Do it for yourself, homie. I promise you, you'll feel so much better because of it. Well, there you go, man. Bocephus is right. You're going to be a new man. You're going to come back stronger and harder. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, dude, we've all been there, man. Heartbreaks are both of. I've ended most of my relationships. I've done the breaking up most of the time. Um, I've been dumped, dumped a couple times. One of them, though, but I'd say 80% I've initiated. I initiated both of my divorces. Man, I had one of them, dude. Why, coach? Why not settle? How do you know? Well, I keep my personal life off here. You don't know what my relationship status is. Yeah, especially I searched her phone because I felt something was wrong and I saw a chat with him. What? Well, you shouldn't be in someone's phone. First of all, Totner. Like I'm gonna tell you, that is kind of a violation. Just calling it like it is. But you found the proof. That's a problem, though. You knew something was wrong, bro. My last real breakup, though, like where I got dumped, she dumped me when I caught her cheating. When she found out, I knew she dumped me. The day before, she was over here telling me how she wanted a life with me. she wanted me to marry her and wanted a life with me the day before. I already knew she was cheating. I've been real quiet about it. I was just going to sit on it for just a moment. I knew it was up. I was going to see how she acted. I was real chill about it. I wanted to see how she was going to act. Right? The day before, she's over saying all this stuff. And then the second she found out, I knew. She dumped me, cussed me out for invading her privacy by having a conversation with somebody. That conversation was with another dude who told me, oh my God. It's like, okay, all right. Oh man. Man, that's a piece of work right there. Girl be like, I want a life with you. I want you to marry me. And she's cheating, and then she finds out that you do. Okay, all right. It's gonna be real chill for a moment. I'm a pretty calm dude overall. It's like, okay. What sort of game are you playing? Study this for a moment. Yeah. All right. I once questioned whether I had something wrong with my brain because I never wanted to pursue a relationship beyond the first couple of months. I don't know. Yeah. Well, either you didn't find the right girl or yeah, there's something wrong because I think all men desire to settle down. It's like Sixer says, Why, coach? Why not settle down? I think most men on a deep level, we do want to settle down, right? Right. No, I don't like the Tomer. I'm very anti-red pill. I think I don't like the red pill at all. I trash talk the manosphere a lot. No, dude, it's worth it, man. Look, finding real love in a healthy relationship in marriage, for most men, will probably be one of the most rewarding things you can do. But you got to find a good marriage and a good match. You know, that's the hard part. No, it's totally worth it. I mean, that's a very high value thing in life, right? Because it's not like you're all going to go be rich or do all these other things, right? Let's be realistic. You probably not. You know, so if you start looking though at things that will truly bring value to your life, no, I mean a good marriage is at the top of the list. You know, for men, right? That's definitely up there. But again, got to be the right match. You know, but yeah, that sucks, Tommy. You got her doing a 304. You know, being a 304, bro. But at least you dodged a bullet, man. You found out before you put a ring on it. And that's how I look at that other situation. You know, that one girl definitely wanted a ring. Like she, her exact words, she wanted a ring. Um, but I found out what she was before. And I should have known. I mean, the red flags for days. Happens. Yeah, say with me, I was thinking about next year to marry her. There you go. Well, this was one who aggressively pursued me. Like it was a case of this is someone I turned down at one time and pursued me very, very aggressively. You know, and eventually I said yes after about 3 years. um, Turned her down once a year. Um, but it is what it is. Yeah, man. You know these things happen, but no, it's definitely worth it. Get back up on the horse, man. Because you get thrown off a horse a couple times doesn't mean you don't get back on and keep learning to ride. They're like, Jason, we can tell you're from Texas at this point. Why do you use lines like that? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. How long do you spend hunting women? You don't, man. You don't need to hunt women. So, I've never even been on a dating app, dude. I don't use them. I looked at the Facebook dating, but I didn't really talk to any women on there. That's the only thing I've looked at for. Um, just curious because I'm on Facebook all the time, but I closed all that down quite some time back. Oh man, where was I with that? Right now, since I'm 28, where should I find women? Since I'm out of college, finishing my master's this year. Um, Mutual hobbies, church, your social circles. You know, every single girl that I've dated, other than my two wives, ex-wives, I met through social circles in some way. I either met through some of my business connections in fitness, or I met them through social circles I've had going all the way back to high school. And I do mean literally every woman I have dated, I've met through one of my social circles, like all of them. Right. I met them because of someone else. Like, I didn't just find them randomly. Like, they're people who we had mutual friends or business connections. Right. So again, other than other than my two wives, literally every girl I've dated since my first real relationship after that, I met entirely through social circles and networking. 100% of them. So when guys ask me for dating advice, I'm like, well, your mutual hobbies and social circles, that's where you find women, you know? Hence the problem with this generation. They don't network, they don't have social circles. That's a problem, right? That's definitely a problem. So you got to look at what other hobbies and interests do you have. I had a guy, I gave him some advice. And this highlights the problem with this generation. He is someone who should have no trouble meeting girls. So this is, and hopefully he doesn't get too offended. He was a hater. He came to me and apologized for being a hater, getting involved in the troll stuff. He backed away from it, blocked all of it, gave a very heartfelt apology, and then I chatted with him. He wanted advice, and I chatted with him about his profile. I got in a call with him later. Okay, look, dude. And we didn't talk about any of my stuff. He didn't act stocky. He talked about his problems with girls, with his lifting. I saw his lifting videos. Guy had a good physique. He was strong, had a good career. Had never kissed a girl. He was like 26 already, still a virgin. Now, that sounds like the typical person who would be in my hater circles. 26, had never even kissed a girl yet. Struggling to find dates, socially awkward. Guy was squatting over 400 pounds with visible abs and had an income of over $100,000 a year in his career. Had never had a girlfriend, never had sex. And I talked with him about hobbies and stuff, right? And he had said, well, these I'm looking at different stuff. And I'm like, well, trying to look, well, since you don't have a social network, you need to go and do things where women are going to be involved. You need to have networks. No, one of them has a mail order bride review. One of my biggest haters ordered a mail order bride from the Philippines. Right? He's in your country, by the way. But the guy had this problem, and I told him, well, he was looking at a gardening club. He's like, well, I do like that. And it's like, so okay, this gardening club you're looking at, but it's mostly older women. And I'm like, dude, so no, go join the gardening club. It was one of the things he was interested in. He only went for a day or two and then quit because he's like, well, I don't know. And I told him, look, like, but all these older ladies, they really like me. They tell me, oh, you're a very handsome, nice young man. And I'm like, there's your in. They all have daughters, nieces, stuff like that. Like here you are going to this gardening club that he did like. He's like, I kind of like gardening. All these soccer moms and grandmas here thinking you're this nice, handsome young man. He wants to go do the gardening club. Any other guy listening understands exactly where I'm going with this. All these women have nieces and daughters and young women out there who they know need a good, handsome, young, fit man with a good job. So instead, what did he do? He's like, no, I just don't think this is the way. So instead, for his free time for a hobby, what did he go do in place of it? He quit the gardening club and he joined a longsword fighting club. I'm just going to keep this face for a minute because that's totally where you're going to meet women. All right. So, again, as we would say in Texas, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. That gardening club, because he actually did like gardening, that was a gold mine for him. Especially when all these older women find out, oh, he's got a good job, he's got a good career. He's just really shy. Really shy, nice young man who's making over $100,000 a year. Chat with him. His salary was $115,000 a year in an IT related field. He could squat 450 pounds and wasn't fat. See where we're going with this? But he was just really, really shy. So you got a super fit young man in the top 10 to 15%, maybe income bracket, right? Who's just super shy. How many of those older women at the gardening club would have been hooking him up with dates? I really want you to meet my niece. But no, he's got a really good job. He's really shy. He's really, really shy, but he's got a great body. He's just super shy. He's a sweet young man. He's got a good job. Likes to work out. Doesn't do much. He just goes home. And he's real shy. But he's really, really nice. Like, bro. Right? Back at that point, man, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. What do you do? You help these guys. Oh yeah, Jason. One thing I know I'm stupid of not doing. I never really did legs, so it was a chicken leg. Didn't like the squat, like the deadlift though. Yeah, man, you got to get into your squats, bro. Bro, you got to do your squats. Otherwise, how you gonna look like this? You know what I mean, bro? Like how you gonna have them quads, man? You don't train your legs. A lot of this new generation want to think that things just come to them or they see instant gratification. But patience and work is what gets you what you want, right? But they understand it when they play a video game, those Cephas. That's what I don't get. I'll see this with these young men. And it's unfortunate that they apply all their male instincts to video games. And that's the problem instead of all this other stuff. How many hours will they grind away in a video game to level something up? Why don't they level themselves up the same way they will a character? Why aren't they grinding in the gym? Why aren't they grinding their career? Why aren't they grinding their social circle? Why are they not investing the same level grind into that they will the video game? Or just grinding your career as much as you grinded in WoW, right? Absolutely. So what if you did? It's about to be a status. All right, we're about to make a status out of that. Speaking of grinding, there we go. Probably been way further. I just made that status. And we share it to some groups. But if young men would grind as hard in the gym or their career as much as they do a video game character, what would happen for them? Right? We asked the question. Right? Been no supers in here. Yesterday morning was solid. We had $32 in super chats yesterday morning. Oh well. But they didn't kick in until the second hour. Forced myself to love the squat. It absolutely sucked for the first few months, but now that I see the results of my continuous efforts, it has become my favorite lift. Something I'm proud of. There you go. I hate squats personally. I still do them though. They're like, Coach, you squat 3 times a week right now. I know that I hate them. Sometimes we must do what we hate to get what we want to get. I gotta get coffee, guys. All right, I'll be right back. All right. And we're back. All right. Guy says, do you think it's over for me, or do I still have time to get back at 28, finishing my master's degree in energetics and electrical engineering? But right now I don't have a job. I'm from Romania. The pay here sucks. Been to New Jersey this summer. Worked as a server. Was nice for the season. Yeah, you can do it. No, you can absolutely do it. Why wouldn't you be able to? You're 28. No, you already had built a base before. You've been training. You're not a complete novice. So come back and train, man. Why not? What's stopping you? I got derailed in my early 30s and couldn't train for 3 years. I got fat while in bed sick. Had to learn to walk again, lose weight, and you saw me squat 500 pounds within a couple of years, learning to walk again. Come on. In my 30s. Tomner, keep in mind, bro, so go watch my current list. I'm 48 years old. I turn 49 next month. And you watch me rep 3 plates on the bench every single workout. I rep 5+ plates on the deadlift every single workout for rep work. Come on. No, it's not too late. Go get under a barbell. You got this. Yeah. Never too late. I'll check your videos. Haven't been since 3 or 4 years since I actually remember. I used to troll you a bit at that time, but I had a blast always reading your comments too. Cool, man. No, bro, we training. So I mean, this is a pretty typical work set for me right there, bro. Right now I stand at 6 foot, 171 pounds. George Foreman came back and won the heavyweight title at 45 years old. That's a normal 3-day-a-week work set. Like, that's just how I train. Right? So we squat, bench, and deadlift. And then yesterday we squat, bench, deadlift, and weighted dips and weighted chins with a full plate. You know, she aiming to be a 190 lean at that height. Yeah, but he's going to need time for that, Rufio. It takes time, brother. It takes time. You know, feel a little fluffy since I don't train. Well, we'll get on top of it. You'll recomp quick. Hey, Rufio, but check this out. I'm proud of myself on the training yesterday of doing just the chins and stopping. Because, right, remember what I said? Do you know it took everything I had not to do some curls? You know, even yesterday before I broke my fast, I wanted to go grab some bands and do some banded curls first. And I stopped myself. Like, I did 2 sets of weighted chins to failure. Stop. You know, stopped myself. You know what? My biceps are actually sore this morning. It's kind of weird. They actually hurt. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do all 3 of my full body workouts. I'm going to do 2 sets of weighted chins to failure and stop and see what happens. I'm struggling with it now. I always feel like I need. Well, but think about, so people were not realizing they're like, when I asked someone that, you know, how many sets of curls do they think I was doing per week? And they weren't tracking all the workouts and not realizing when you start throwing the band curls in, all the dumbbells, like everything gets thrown in. It's not uncommon for me to do 25 sets a week. Do we start counting the pull-ups into that volume too? You know, so that's the issue, is that overtraining. But I've had the interesting arguments. People were like, well, your body fat was higher. I'm like, but my arms were. They looked bigger. And we go back to that period where that's all I did for arms. I didn't know arm isolation. So I'm going to run that for a while. I'm even taking out the band press downs. I'm like, dips, carryovers. Because the same thing, think about extensions, right, for triceps. I can go 2 weeks while doing no extensions. And if I just push dips, what happened? I would come back and PR on my extensions. I would literally PR the reps. So I know triceps make my extension stronger. So clearly they're working the triceps enough. You know, so I think the only thing I'm going to isolate is going to be my delts. My strong points are always the chest and shoulders, because I have broad shoulders and a big chest, pretty small waist. So even with zero training, I have a V shape, also big calves. Definitely my lats are my strongest. And again, case of I've been told in person that my back is bigger than it looks on camera. They're like, no, your back is freakish. I've been told this by women who lift, actually. So this is what I look like on camera right now, Tanya. But I've been told in person that my back is freakishly big, that it looks bigger than the camera. So that's where I'm at right now. I got a V taper. I definitely got a V taper. Why are we sneezing? Dude, I gotta sweep everything again. Oh, thank you. Yeah. How old are you? I'm 48 years old. I turned 49 in a few weeks. So if you need kg, I'm currently 95 kilograms. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty much an anomaly. I mean, so think about what I lift. You guys have seen me do, well, so 230 kilogram deadlifts. I do sets of 5 or 6 reps pretty routinely with that. 3 plates on the bench, which is just over. Our plates are slightly heavier. So it's like what, 145 kg. I do like 4 rep sets for top sets. I'm up to 18 on my pause bench with 2 plates aside. So just over 100 kg. I do 18 pause reps right now. Yeah. Well, you got to fix that shoulder. Yeah, I'm easily. I mean, well, my last meet put me in the top 1% of competitors. So people forget that with the powerlifting. Like they'll hate on my lifting, and I'm like, I am classified in the top percentile though. And that's the point that people miss. When they factor in the age bracket, the USPA has me classified as the top 1% of competitors. So, and definitely masters athletes, I'm easily top 1% of masters powerlifters. Notice that's not of the general population. That is competitive powerlifters. Yeah. So, so how do you fix it? I don't know, Tom. It depends on what's going on with your shoulder. There's too many things to look at. I don't know necessarily what you did to it, but just be very careful with it. Rehab it, do some band work and other stuff for it, and see if you can assess it. In a live stream, there's no way we could even begin to assess that. Yeah. So, but I mean, and that's the difference of the internet, Rufio. It's like, that's why I laugh at the internet comments versus what the comments I get in real life. Like if I never saw haters on the internet, right? So at this point in my life, if I were to simply turn off social media and only go off the way people react in public, friends, women, people in grocery stores, people who catch me out jogging, whatever, right? I would have no idea that I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger. I would be completely clueless that people don't think I look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I would have no idea. Because in public, it's how much do you bench, or women, wow, you are super jacked. Wow, you have great calves. You have great, oh, wow. I get nothing but endless compliments in person everywhere I go. And then I come to the internet, you look like a fat melted sack of shit. It's like, but it's every day. So it's this crazy dichotomy. It's just, good morning, Ryan, what's up, bro? It's really fascinating. Because keep in mind, I'll have women 20 years younger than me, straight up. I'll be out shopping. Wow, you are super jacked. It's like, I've been told this. It's like, what are you, like 28? And when I get on the internet, and it's just so funny, the contrast. Like the hate comments I will get, man. Well, some of them are really juiced up. So some of the Facebook ones, no, they're not. Like some of the haters there, though, they're blasting a ton of trend and stuff. And I'm like, do you guys not understand? You would not be like, and you hate to have to tell them. I'm like, bro, I already have an idea of what all you use looking at you. I am on a replacement dose of test. Like cut down to what I'm on for a couple of years and then come back. I think you're going to be in for a rude awakening, home skillet. The internet is full of sad, envious people looking to bring others down to try and make themselves better. Most of your haters are probably, no, dude, a lot of them are in their 30s and stuff, blasting a bunch of gear, I'm finding. To be honest, some of the ones on Facebook. But some of them are not. Like, they'll comment and I'll be like, dude, like, you're standing here trash talking me. You do realize we can see your pictures. Your profile isn't locked. Right? Damn, I just remember, Coach, how you always worried everyone about Jerry Ward, and a lot of people were blasting and time was ticking. Yeah. I mean, and Jerry's dead. Right? Tomber and Jerry Ward is now dead. Died of a heart attack. Yeah. Coach B living his life to the full as the best friends. There you go. The internet allows me to act in ways the world would never. Yeah. Because we know people in real life, dude. Nobody acts this way to me in person the way that people act online. And they wouldn't. But I got a real dose of reality when I went to Body Power. Right? That was a wake-up call for a lot of this stuff. Because not only was Jeff Side gonna kick my butt, I'm trying not to cuss on here. Like, Jeff Side was going to hit me. I had 7 or 8 people say they were going to knock me out when I got to that expo. And I was getting an ass whooping. A lot of anonymous people. So they let me know. Right? I get there. Nothing but adoring fans. Not one person said anything disrespectful or rude to me the entire time. People coming up giving me gifts. I brought you this gift. Can I get a picture with you? Can I get an autograph? Jeff Side did not want anything to do with me. When I saw how sucked up and tiny that dude was, and he saw me, and I'd already responded that I was going to bite his nose off and spit it back in his face if he hit me online. Yeah, man. Like, so, but then you see how small the guys are, right? And that was a wake up call too, of lighting, Photoshop, being really, really lean. These guys are not as big as you think they are. And when you go to events, you realize that, real quickly. Most of these influencers are not that jacked. A lot of them are just really lean. Sometimes when they're lean, good lighting. No, Tom or Jeff was tiny. All right. So context, he claims to be 60. At the time, his online stats, 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, 18-inch arms. He's the same height as me. I'm 5'9". He's the same height as me. I have found consistently every guy who claims 6 foot online is eye to eye with me. So on the internet stats, I'm technically 6 foot, but I'm not 6 foot. I'm just making an observation. I would put him at because people brought this up. If I were to guess his stats, because he was walking around with no shirt on. So online stats at the time, he was 5'9", 200 pounds, 18-inch arms. I would estimate 5'9", 165 pounds, maybe 15 to 16-inch arms, maybe. Just ballpark estimate. This generation, yeah, the younger generation. My generation didn't, so it's really weird for us. Music. It's very, very strange to me. Now, I've never met Piana. My brother is a 170-pound novice at 5'11". He looks tiny as hell on camera when he films his lifts. He's way bigger in person compared to what the camera shows, right? Right. Right. Uh, yeah, it happens. So I don't know why this whole younger generation of guys, millennials, love to lie about their height. I mean, it's very strange. But I've heard it. Well, one, they tend to measure in shoes when younger. Well, that's not your height. Dating apps, so on and so forth. But here's the interesting thing. So they don't know their actual height. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to check if the millennial or whatever. You usually out of bed height and add 2 inches, right? Probably due to litter. It probably is. So, well, here's the thing that was interesting with it. I saw some stats, and you guys ready? So, when surveys were done, the DMV is supposed to, in theory. I don't know, right? Well, that's weird though. Haters had found an old ID stat of me. They all claim I'm really short, but my old ID, I had one that said 5'11". That's what the DMV had me at one time, but I've corrected that. So my current one says 5'9". I don't know why they had the 5'11" on there years ago. But so we saw this survey, right? And when men were asked in surveys, did you know that in the United States, in anonymous surveys or when they're asked in a thing, did you know that 30% of men believe that they're 6 foot tall in the United States? So I think dudes really don't know their actual height. 30% of American men in surveys believe that they are 6 foot tall or taller. 30%. Do you know the real number? You guys know the real percentage? How many American men do you think are 6 foot or taller? It's 12%, 11 to 12% of the population of American men. Yes, 12%, guys. When it's actually been measured. 30% believe they're at least 6 foot. Right. Very strange. I haven't played any video games in years, bro. 38K. I've made a statement that I generally think um you know that video games are counterproductive to our productivity as a man, bro. I feel like a broken record on that. I feel like I say that every single day too. Notice how just boringly I said it. I can't even give the spiel anymore, man. I just feel like a broken record. That's up there with, hey, I think the deadlift's the best lift. So at 5'9", you're probably in the, no, I mean, I'm right at average. The average American, the average is 5'9". The 18% of men that are 5'11" are out up to the nearest inch. You know, before I knew anything about coach, a lot of people said that, Peppermint. You're not the only one. We need to start calling a vote on people asking about gaming. No, I don't play any video games. I still have an Xbox Series X, but I don't game on it. It's hooked up to my. I need to move that. I want to switch my TVs. I want to put my bigger TV from my bedroom into the living room, but it's older. It doesn't have. I have to run the Xbox on my really old big screen in order to stream. Whereas in my Amazon one I've got in the living room, I need to move to my bedroom because it's just too small to see from the couch all the way across that living room. You guys saw it. It's just not a big TV, so I need to switch them around. But where are we going with that? So, I have an Xbox Series X. My brain just won't scroll. I don't know. I would need to check. I don't remember review. What if you can make money off of it? I mean, how much money are we talking? Music? Kapow! And he's out of here. Get out of here. I've never understood the whole purple one. I'm not sure where they get that. Why it's such an obsession. Not really that much. No, but you'd have to do it all the time, music. And then I would just get fat and out of shape. Unless you mean I could get on Call of Duty for 30 minutes a day and make $200 or $300 and lose my games and then go work out. I mean, are you telling me that I could go on Call of Duty and just completely suck? My trolls could just mod me and I can make $200-$300 in an hour and then quit. Is that what you're telling me, music? Because I really suck at games like that. I'm really, really, really bad at them. Just an FYI. So that sort of video game, when I played them, I was good at MMOs, but like FPS type games, dude, like your 6-year-old kid would probably smoke me at Call of Duty, like straight up, dude. 10 out of 10 games. I'm just telling you straight up. Like I'm gonna get smoked every single round. Yeah. Yeah, Peppermint, you never believe it, you nearly got pounded. But now you understand why, review. But I do have a question, guys. If you were me and you could say that I speak English fluently, would you stay in a third to second world country like Romania? No, dude, you're same thing, Connor. Same thing we deal with Limitless. You're finishing up a master's degree, right? You got a background in electrical engineering. Get out of there, dude. How's it going, champ? We're doing good, Todd. Oh, that's wild review. I had a couple of regulars yesterday, Coffee Kapow. Connor and him got in a fight. I ignored their fight. They had a big fight yesterday in the afternoon. Well, there's been no supers in this morning, though. Man, yesterday it was on fire in the coffee chat. It's all good, though. I only game maybe an hour a week between work and other stuff. I have a lot of free time. Honestly, I don't feel deprived either, right? There you go. No, they had a little powwow. I don't even remember what it was over. I couldn't even follow it. I was trying to do the stream. I was busy trying to do the stream. Well, I got to get a Facebook post. So I can justify this really, really long coffee chat I'm probably going to do today. I need to keep these group posts going. I want to get that stupid bonus on the profile. I don't know why I will grind so hard for something that insignificant. Mainly because they threw an internet challenge at me. We will pay you an extra $44. $44, guys, come on. We made more than that in super chats yesterday. Between all my streams. But it's because they dangled a carrot in front of me. I'm like, I'm going to grind group posts to get that extra $44 on top of the regular money. All right. That's just how it has to be. I would post to all the late ratchet. That's a group. set them up. So that joke has to go to 30 groups and space out the 10 groups. Okay. All right, back over. Okay, thanks, Chris. Yeah, I don't really think it's worth for my future. I don't have anything to lose right now. There you go, man. So don't stay in there. Peppermint, you need to be protective at all costs. Just ignore and take the high ground. I allowed myself to be drawn in. Yeah, you allowed him to draw you into a fight. The grind never stops. How much of a cut? I think like 15% or something. 15 or 20. I need to double check. It's not a huge cut. They're going to take a cut of everything. Yeah. Why the views so low all of a sudden? We only have 6 viewers in here, guys. What happened? That's not good. All right. So hopefully he comes back. One of my guys says, "Can I apply for coaching?" Yeah. One of my regulars I do consults with just asked that. So hopefully that happens. You know. I mean, I imagine here I would make 1 to 2K. Oh God, I made way more being a server in New Jersey this summer. I mean, to put aside that, I could, yeah. So Tomner, how much money do you think an electrical engineer makes down here in Texas? You know. Right. Not really. Hey, music, but the problem is I don't enjoy video gaming. Now you'll make more than 90K potentially. That might be starting. You could definitely make more than that. But you see the problem, music? I would have to do something I don't enjoy. You know. So you guys who want me to do this stuff, you do realize you're asking me to do something I don't actually like doing for money. Instead of doing the stuff that I like doing for money. That's the problem. All right. No, Tomber, you're not cooked. Just keep focusing, man. I don't know why people are so insistent that I need to do video gaming for money online. I don't understand the obsession. All right. I really don't get it because you're not the only one who does that music. I legitimately do not understand the obsession with people thinking I should do this. I mean, I don't like it. So maybe I should just suck dick for money instead. If we're going to do stuff we don't like for money, why not just be a prostitute? So I just don't get it. We know you don't like to do this. We know that you think it's useless time sink and it's soul destroying, but we think you should do it for money. Well, why? No, I don't think I have it. I think it got tossed out with the mold situation. I believe it's gone. Like that mold situation was actually real. I don't know why a bunch of people thought it was. It really was. I really had an issue with the condo after that flood, and they didn't fix the walls. So yes, there was an actual black mold problem in the condo. Yeah, not all money is good money. Yeah, I don't understand why people want me to do this. Like, why can't they just let me be a strength coach and a tutor and, you know? Oh, we don't, Peppermint. So I kind of hate having to rehash this story. It's been 3 years. And I got kind of sick from it. It affected my training, everything. So what happened was we had a flood. And because they weren't fixing the roofs correctly, these condos were all individually owned units. I rented from a friend. She sold the unit to her boss. The final year I was living there. So he bought the unit and was still renting to me. So there was a whole HOA that collected money from them, handled repairs of the overall condo buildings. They were individually owned units. So because they couldn't agree on how to fix a thing with the roof, there was water coming through. So we had rainwater. We had a flood that came through, and dirty rainwater got into like 6 of the units, and it flooded all the carpet, and it flooded the inside of the walls. Yeah, it was right before Worlds. And so I got kind of sick from it. Yeah. Hey, music, it's not. It says people are really into it. Most people, they get big online, start gaming for money. It's like a rite of, no, it's not. It's not a rite of passage. What are you talking about? No, most people don't do that. I know tons of people who are big online who don't do gaming online at all. What are you talking about? Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you, music. You're not gonna like some of the things you said about yourself. I'm trying to be nice. You know, just saying, you kind of admitted yesterday that you have let a known violent felon who had a burglary conviction handle your firearm. Let's just be clear on that. You did say that very clearly yesterday. You and I probably wouldn't get along real well in real life. Just saying, we probably wouldn't be buddy buddy. You know, I don't think you and I have the same values. You also said that you don't think the military could take out the cartels. You were bragging on how strong they were. It's like, come on, dude. I just saying, I don't think you and I come from the same value system. Just saying that politely. Not saying I'm banning you for it. Just throwing that out there. You think missing the world's competition impacted? I think it did, yeah. I don't know why he's insisting on it. Review says it probably cost him gaining a lot of clients. If he would have taken gold at Worlds, he would have picked up a few new clients, right? Yeah. Just saying, music, you wouldn't pass the vibe check with me in real life. And I'm not saying I don't ever have criminal friends. I mean, we got to have friends everywhere. But I've actually cut that element out completely out of my life. You know, you got to have police officer friends, and you know, it's not bad to have some criminal friends too. But I found by and large the latter are not worth it in any of my circles. I've had to cut them out completely, unless it's gear related people, because that's important overall for my world. You know. But I've had to cut that element out largely, especially once I got rid of Brittany. That element had to go. Random question, but do you like outlaw country? It's okay. I'm not some of it. Well, I mean, I see the name there, Bills. I actually do like Hank Williams Jr. To be fair, yeah, it's always handy to know a drug dealer. Don't want to get involved in the violent thugs, though. Exactly. Absolutely. At what age you stopped gaming, Coach? I don't know. A few years back, quite some time. I couldn't tell. I mean, I was still doing a little bit of gaming up into my 40s, but then I quit. It was always off and on. I took breaks from it, but just realized it doesn't serve me in any way. So when I make people get mad at me when I make Facebook posts about it, man, they get mad at me, right? But I'm like, I'm speaking from experience. Like, I know that every time I was gaming, I made less money. I was less productive in general. But I think people miss that point. They're like, "But you did this." I'm like, "But I was always in relationships." Like, let me be clear, right? I think they forget that. Like, I wasn't single. I wasn't video gaming when I was a single dude. Oh, hell no. Like, dude, if you're not getting laid regularly and you're not in a relationship, I can't justify wasting 5 minutes on a video game. Make sense, guys? So I've never been gaming while single. Like, I've been a gamer when I was married, or I gamed some while I was with Brittany, but she video games some, and so on. But I have a girlfriend who lives with me. I wasn't single playing video games, guys. You know what I mean? All right. Only good thing I got from games like WoW is it was always ahead in English speaking. Right, fair enough. Yeah, music pretty unlikely. So people love to say stuff like that, but you could pick up clients, video game. You can just like, probably not. So music, you know what gets me a lot of clients? You ready? You know what's gotten a ton of my clients lately in the last year? Hey Ryan, you're in here. How did I lock you in as a client? Live streams. Average month, I close $200 to $300 consultations in the live streams every single month. Some of those turn into clients. I talked Ryan into coming on as a client in a live stream on Facebook, actually, right? The best thing I have done lately for clients in the last year are the live streams. Dude, this feeds my coaching business doing these lives, especially when it's letting me double stream. This has fed my coaching business the most out of anything I've done. Yeah, basically a 30 minutes. So yeah, I sat in there and did a one-on-one with Ryan while we're doing one of those morning walks, right? And Ryan's like, dude, I'm coming on, man. He's like, so he applied for coaching, and I've been coaching him since then. One thing I learned earlier was that you picked up Ted through the client blogs. I saw him in the comments of one of the Mikey's vlogs, inquire about your services exactly. Do you think it's a good idea to work 2 jobs in the next 5 years to boost my funds since I don't want to go do any hobbies? I think you could, man. Making some more money is never bad. Well, I never knew that. Yep. Yep. About to go for my walk through the desert with coyotes. So go for it, man. All good charms. I think Cochino about to get some more coffee. I need to make some other Facebook posts too. I'll be right back. Music is because you strike me as a thug, and that's just the way the vibe you give me. Just saying, bro. All right. No, I've never been to Australia. Timer. Yeah, I've seen Ted's profile before. He was giving it back to a bunch of trolls and defending coach. Yeah, he always does. Oh, dude. Man, Ted in private, he loves to rag on the trolls. Like, dudes, like Ted goes in hard. He makes so much fun of them. When it's just client Ted and I talking, dude, he rags on them. Like, it's bad. Like he makes fun of and describes what sort of losers he visualizes them as. Yeah, he's reliable. So Ted basically described, he's like, the average coach hater is probably 300 pounds, has never seen a vagina, and covered in Cheeto dust. He's like, that's what he said. He's like, I visualize that's the average coach hater. Pretty much his vision of them. So he's like, that's just how he pictures all of them. Like, he's convinced they're all non-lifters and they're all fat. So he literally describes them that way as just total, complete losers. So we joke about it. So he screenshots their stuff. Like, he's like, oh my God, this is what one of them said. So he like tries to guess their body weight and stuff based on their post. Like, he's pretty brutal about it. It's like, wow. Vegetables are trying to kill you, right? Those people, man. Oh my God, the carnivore crowd. Oh Lord. I just can't. I do have client sheets to do later, but I think I'm going to sit in here for a while. And the reason is I'm going to make sure this, since I can only do 3 pieces of content, I want these lives to run long. Because I don't got to train this morning. I can stay in here a little while. As long as I make Facebook posts, we're good. You guys help me come up with some fitness posts and stuff. Let's help me out here. Yeah, he needs to slow down from the bulking. Bruvio, we'd have talked about this, and I'm like, well, unless you're going to go buy another belt, you're out of notches in your lifting belt. You need to chill. Told him, you're getting up to my weight and you're not quite at my strength. We gotta chill on this. Ted's actually at an event today. We just aren't announcing it ahead of time. No, Ted's competing today. Take my knife, always getting surrounded by those yotes that they attack if you're getting close. Your knife, that's all you carry around, the yotes, man? You don't at least have a 9mm something? Brah. I have knives. I carry knives too. I'll show you my favorite carry knife, what I usually carry. I don't usually use a really big one, but we got a carry knife. So for me, standard carry, if I'm out somewhere, obviously fanny pack with running, so it's just Glock. Usually this is my most common knife that I use just on a belt. All right, so if I go throw some blue jeans on and a belt, it's usually this, a 9mm. But it's not an amazing knife. I've had this forever. Right? This is one of my EDC knives, pretty much. It's small enough that it's not really in the way. You put it on a belt, right? So, but back up, obviously. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. The Brits they're probably like, what? It's like, yeah, that's legal here, you guys. Come on. Like, Texas is very, very, very blade friendly. Yeah, dude, it'll get it done. I've got bigger knives, obviously. All right. I'm good. You know, but keep in mind, Texas is Bowie knife and sword, so you can carry a sword here. You just can't take it out. So that's what people don't understand. It's like carry versus brandish are two different things, right? Now, if I pull that blade out in public, out in the street somewhere, like I need to have a reason. I can't just, so you don't just go into a store and take your blade out and wave it around like that. It's not going to go well. These packs like run 7 deep, about 60 to 70 pounds. Yeah, that's pretty normal. Charms, you get the whole little family. So let me be very clear in answering that. All right. You said you could carry a katana. Well, what is a katana by definition? It's a sword. So yes, obviously. Yes, you can wear a katana in Texas, but you got to keep it in the sheath in public. And we didn't even bother to call the katana. We just got rid of him, Correct. The store owner might draw their piece out. Like, why did you draw a blade? Why'd that blade come out? Yeah. So it's technically a sword. And yes, you can legally carry a katana as long as you are not legally prohibited from weapon carry in public because of your background. So for those who are not understanding, what are they're worried about for carrying in Texas for your handguns? Essentially, until you've been proven dangerous, right? In other words, any felony, but if it's a non-violent, you can get your gun rights restored. Okay, so let's be clear. There's a process for that, but generally speaking, violent felonies, any domestic violence, right? I don't know how we compare New Jersey. New Jersey's kind of small. Okay. If you've been adjudicated mentally defective by a judge due to your mental issues, those are your exclusions. So for those who don't know what we mean by you can't carry, right? In other words, until you can carry legally until you are proven that you can't. Yeah. A misdemeanor doesn't prohibit you from carrying. But notice he said misdemeanor DWI. See where we're about to go with this. What happens on your third DWI in the state of Texas? It's a felony. Well, now we've got a problem. Felonies start losing their rights to vote. They start losing their rights to own firearms, have certain types of jobs, like whole professional license, you're barred from tons of stuff, right? Kind of a big deal. All right. Also, state of Texas. Just the Brits will be shocked at this one, all my overseas people. I don't think the government should have a right to have any say in who carries guns, music, personally. My opinion, if a person is too dangerous to own a gun, they should be locked in a cage. No person who is too dangerous to own a firearm should be free to walk on the street. Therefore, we don't need background checks. The bars are the background check. If you're too dangerous to own a gun, you shouldn't be walking around in public. You shouldn't have access to a car, a screwdriver, anything sharper than a butter knife. Period. That's my opinion. If a person is too dangerous to own a firearm, they shouldn't have access to a vehicle or a crowbar or a screwdriver. They should probably have bars between them and other humans. I mean, I just gave you, right? Person who's too dangerous. So that's my opinion. So as far as the medication, but that's a whole separate topic, isn't it, music? I can see why certain medications is a problem, but they also restrict vehicle driving with certain medications. There's a lot of nuance to that topic, to be fair, though. But just because you have to take a medication, if you're not dangerous to other people, what's the problem? What medications are we talking about? So is it a mental illness or is it the medication you have to take? Like, are you schizophrenic? That's what we're asking. What if they're a danger to themselves? Well, that's most gun deaths. People forget that in the gun violence stat. The overwhelming majority of gun deaths in the United States are what? Self-inflicted. Right? Most gun violence is self-inflicted. The 70%. Right? You know this, right? 70% of gun violence of gun deaths is self-inflicted. So we have a mental health crisis. Out of the 30% that are not self-inflicted, how much of it is gang on gang? Anybody know that stat? How much is gang members? 80%. All right. My DWI was a felony because I hurt my passenger crashing, but I was 19, served probation. It turned into a misdemeanor, right? Yeah. Drunk driving, man. I'm very anti-drunk driving. So let's take that other figure. So what's our percentage? So if 70%, so you take all the gun deaths, right, in the US, 70% are self-inflicted, leaves 30%. 80% of that is gang violence. So what are we down to? All right. 6% of gun deaths in the United States are not gang members involving other gang members or suicide. 6% are other people. That includes self-defense cases and stuff too. Well, yeah. So, right. So the other thing, though, when we're talking about the felony thing, so where I live, right, let's talk Texas law. Just always there's memes about me in Texas law. It's hilarious. For the unaware, not familiar with Texas, what is your third felony? State of Texas. You've been convicted of a third felony. What's the automatic sentence? Life in prison. It's not death, it's life. Now, we have a pretty short list for death penalty of what we have on the list. Mass shooters are going to get it. Yeah, obviously, those guys get it. Yeah, state of Texas says what? So 3 felonies is life in prison. Yes, even nonviolent felons. Yeah. So you get 3 separate ones. Not saying all in the same day, but you get 3 separate ones. It's life. They don't let you out. Well, state jail felonies are a different category. Yeah, it's a 3 strikes and you're outlaw. So, but let's give examples. Let's say you're walking down the street, you beat up and assault an elderly person, right? Let's say your second one, you rape somebody. We're now at 2. Any felony on that third one, you're screwed. No, I think state jail felonies are slightly different. The Second Amendment is designed to protect against tyrannical government, the type the UK have. Exactly. If you do 3 felonies in a row, it's game over. Yeah. I mean, we don't mean in the same day, so those can all be lumped into one. But if you get separate convictions, right? So let's say you commit your first felony and they go easy on you and you get probation and parole and you're out immediately. You commit another one, you get 5, 10 years, whatever, you get out. You're at 2 strikes, homie. You assault somebody, you rape somebody, you burglarize something, you steal a car, whatever. Number 3, you're done. That's it. You go to prison for life. No, there's no time statute. It's a 3 strikes and you're out. It's game over, dude. You go to prison. You're a lifer now. It's firm but fair. Like they're like, dude, we gave you 2 other chances. You got out of prison, you know. Unless they changed it again, music. It was for a long time, you know. So the death penalty, what constitutes death penalty in Texas? For those curious. It obviously has to be premeditated, planned murder, no matter what, right? Never a heat of the moment type situation. It always has to be number one. Always got to be premeditated. So usually, where will they seek the death penalty, and when is it allowed to be used? The victim is, they're a police officer. Okay. Premeditated murder of a police officer. Premeditated murder of a child under 8 years old. Premeditated murder of a pregnant woman. Premeditated murder to where you kill multiple people in one go. So like a mass killer, like a mass shooter shows up premeditated. So we're under multiple premeditated victims at one time. Also, like kidnapping and sexual assault if you kill the person. So those are your ones in Texas where you're going to get a potential death penalty. Like we execute people for those. You know. Of course, the pregnant woman one always throws an interesting one for the abortion rights people. Yeah, sometimes they'll argue, but technically the child, people try to use that as a defense. But no, that is in our stuff. So they'll go after you pretty hard on those. You're probably getting life if you don't get the death penalty on that. So no, we're pretty strict on that stuff. Um, excluding state felony, yeah. So it's also called a state jail felony. They're a slightly different category because usually felonies are first, second, third degree, and then also capital. The minimum sentence is 25 years to life in prison. Right there, you go, James. Tell them smash that like. UK used to be even stricter and would carry out the death penalty days after the sentence. That was a long time ago, though. I mean, yeah, we were like that too 100 years ago. How long ago was that, though, Peppermint? Suppose it begs the question. So are federal felonies where you mess with the government? Federal is only U.S. law. So 99% of your crimes are state or county, Connor. So the federal felonies only involve stuff where the federal government has issued specific stuff. So example, generally murder is not federal. That's state level. Like, does that make sense? Unless you murdered someone in certain types of terrorist attacks or government employees. So, like, yeah, if you're attacking a federal officer or whatever. So there's stuff like that. But generally, normal citizen on citizen homicides are always state level. Like the federal government's not, the U.S. government is not involved in that. Right. So generally speaking, when people say, is murder illegal in the United States? Technically, no. But it is in all 50 of the states. But no, the U.S. government generally doesn't charge you with anything. Of a normal citizen on a normal citizen in their home state is not a United States crime. That's a good question, Connor. Does the three strikes rule apply to federal felonies too? I don't know. I think the state of Texas would take federal felonies into consideration, right? You have previous felony convictions, but those tend to be a lot harsher. Federal felonies have harsher penalties than states do usually. It's hard to get paroled out if you commit federal felonies because you don't even stay in your home state, dude. They try you and ship you off somewhere else in the country, right? So you commit a federal felony in Texas, you're probably not going to be in Texas. They're going to ship you all the way up to the East Coast somewhere. You know? No, the three strikes rule is Texas. That is a Texas thing. It's not a federal thing. Federal means United States, the USA, right? And the condemned would be, so the 1960s. Interesting. No, music, just state jail felonies are actually very, very lesser felonies. Like if you're at a point where you're intentionally committing violence against a person, you're not state jail felonies. No. They're generally accidental type things get dropped down to state jail felonies. Like unintentional. But you should have known better. You made a bad call and it went bad. You know, right? It's usually a low end on the motive side. Like you did something pretty bad, but the motive wasn't necessarily malicious. It could have been negligent. Like you did something really stupid and somebody died or got seriously hurt or something. That makes sense. That's where we're at with a lot of the state jail felonies. Some drug offenses. Um, uh, uh, Smuggling, right? So, so state jail felonies, like criminally negligent homicide, which is different from manslaughter. Manslaughter is a class 3 felony, right? It's a 3rd-degree felony. So manslaughter. But yeah, I would think that the federal felonies count as felonies as far as the state of Texas is concerned, right? As far as that 3-strike rule. But an example: criminally negligent homicide. I'll give you an example. Let's say Cochino started drinking again, which is not going to happen. And I go outside and I shoot my gun off in the air under the influence of alcohol, not thinking clearly. Bullet lands the next neighborhood over and hits somebody and they die. There was no intent. There was no malicious motive, and under the influence of alcohol. They would argue, well, you should have known better, but you didn't. You took a behavior that risked another person's life, and you should have known that it was risky, but at the moment you didn't realize that someone could die due to your negligent behavior. That falls under a state jail felony. Like you're probably still going to get a year in prison for it. You're probably going to get a year in jail. They're going to come down hard on you, but they're going to be like, you didn't intend to hurt anybody. You should have known it was stupid and someone could die, but you didn't realize at the moment that a person could die through your negligent behavior. So that falls under that category. That's an example. Some offenses with certain drugs can fall under those categories. So alcohol and firearms don't mix, right? Well, it is illegal to handle a firearm under the influence of alcohol, by the way. This is where the Brits would run into problems. Sure, you could give Texas laws to the Brits, but man, what if we enforced them? That little drinking thing would have to go away, right? So, right, depending on the circumstances. So, unlawful carrying a weapon while intoxicated is a specific crime in Texas. Right? So it's the same alcohol limit, 0.08% or higher, or any other drug. Right? So if you're above the legal limit to drive, you cannot carry a firearm either. Right? They can't really. Technically, they can, but they require really strict licensing, and it's very, very limited. Like, I don't think they're allowed to ever own anything like semi-auto, for example. Like, it's all like double barrel shotguns and things like that. Yeah. I remember when Joe Biden, he wasn't against the Second Amendment. He's like, all you need is a double barrel shotgun to protect your home. And if you just take it outside and you fire it up in the air, and that'll scare them off. It's like, great, Joe. Not only is that dumb, you just emptied your weapon. Boy, now you got an empty weapon. That's real scary. He actually told people to break the law. Warning shots are against the law. Also, you're firing a gun up into the air. We fall back over to criminally negligent homicide wherever it lands, hypothetically. You could throw it at him. I remember, though, again, people need to know, this is why we have the rules. You have to know the laws. Like, we allow you to carry here. We're very unrestricted, but you have to know the laws. I was a woman who was convicted of that here. Like, her ex was outside and she fired a warning shot and got arrested and charged. She's like, but I thought that was better than shooting him. It's like, no, warning shots are illegal. You can't discharge the weapon unless you can legally shoot a person. That makes sense. If you fire a round, discharge a weapon in a confrontation, it can only be in a situation where you could use deadly force against the person. Like, warning shots are illegal. That's negligent use of a firearm. And even worse, you fired it up into the air. Good Lord. That falls under negligence. And you can't just pop the dude, right? Which is also a dumb one. That's some Hollywood stuff right there. I did whole videos on that on the Firearm channel, why they will tell you not to do this. Any of the non-gun, let's see if the people understand why. You guys think of why that's a problem? There's going to be a couple of reasons why that's an issue. See if the Brits understand this. Well, number one, you're more likely to miss a leg, right? Higher miss probability. Is it less lethal? Is a shot to the thigh less lethal than being hit here, statistically? No, it has the same death rate. So just shoot them in the leg. It's the same as an abdomen shot in terms of lethality. It's a little lower than the chest. Not a lot, but so do you see the point? So it's harder to hit consistently, and it's just as lethal. Yeah. You hit that femoral artery, dude. That femoral artery hit is just as good as a chest hit. We're at the same level right there, right? They're in trouble. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is it doesn't work. So you're basically just have a lower chance of hitting. Nobody does this. This is Hollywood stuff. But Hollywood influence is a problem. Like, Hollywood gets worked into laws. Why do you think we have suppressors on the NFA? Because in Hollywood, they go pew, pew, right? Suppressors, aka what Hollywood calls silencers. There's no such thing as an actual silencer. They're called suppressors for a reason. You do know your neighbors are going to hear the gunshot, right? They're going to hear it all the way down the street, even with a silencer. Do you know there are guns, people who cannot gun, people that use? What are you talking about? Yeah, the never-ending shots, right? Yeah, it's just crazy, crazy. All right, man. So no, you don't do the legs. And warning shots are against the law for obvious reasons. And even dumber, oh, it's fired into the air. Same thing, you fire into the ground. What are you hitting? Anyone ever seen, like, especially in your house even, anyone ever seen what happens when you shoot a floor in a house? I have. Right. Yeah. Plausible. So, but truth, plausible deniability and negligent discharge. So, what does the state of Texas define that as? You were too stupid to know better on the warning shot, right? You had no idea that a person could die from your warning shot. It never occurred to you. And you're convinced you had no clue. And you fire a warning shot in the air. And somebody dies on the next two blocks away, right? When it hits them. What will you be charged with? What will you probably be found guilty of in the state of Texas? On the plausible deniability, that will get you a mitigated felony, by the way. That plausible deniability, you really and truly did not know. It never occurred to you. What's going to be the charge that you will probably be convicted of by the jury? That would be a state jail felony called criminally negligent homicide. And that only applies if you really and truly can convince the jury you didn't know that it could happen. I had no idea. It never occurred to me. If you can sell that to the jury, you're going to get criminally negligent homicide guilty. What if you can't convince the jury? Well, I knew it could happen, but I took the risk and it hit an innocent person. A good lawyer can sell that to the jury. That's right. That's where a good defense attorney, because if you can't sell it, we're now to class 3 felony, manslaughter. You'll do 3 to 5 years. But you'll lose your gun rights and your voting rights when you get out. Because manslaughter means you didn't intend to kill someone, but you knew that your behavior could possibly do it. You were aware of it when you did it. For the criminally negligent, you have to convince them you didn't know at the time. Either your mental state or ignorance. But if you knew that a warning shot in the air could kill somebody, that there was a small chance it could happen, that's manslaughter. All right. Well, you were carrying a firearm under the influence. Your intoxication, that's its own penalty itself. You were carrying a firearm while intoxicated. That's an automatic crime. You're going to jail automatically there. You're already going to jail for that one, even if you didn't hit anybody. That's illegal. Can I see who's watching the live stream? I'm not going to tell you. Music. You're going to have to find out for yourself. I get all sorts of crazy tools as a tier creator. You can't carry a gun to the bar at all. Is he? You can't go through the doorway. Are you a police officer? Do you own the bar? Do you have written permission from the owner as an employee to carry a gun? You have crossed an opening into a bar. You have successfully breached the doorway while in possession of a firearm. Is not one of those three people. That's a felony. Well, I'm not saying people don't do it, but you don't get, so it's like, hey, music, you don't get in trouble for having a kilo of cocaine in your backpack either, as long as nobody knows. Right? But what happens if you get caught with a kilo of cocaine in your backpack? Right. So if you get caught bringing a firearm into a bar, it's a felony. I think it's only a third degree. Let me double check. Oh, it's a third degree felony. Although the maximum sentence on that is only 10 years. They cannot give you more than 10 years in prison for that. Right. So, you can't carry a gun in a bar. Intoxicated or not's irrelevant. The carrying the gun into the bar is a higher offense. It's a higher level of crime than possession while intoxicated. So, you might only get a misdemeanor in some cases for intoxicated carry. So you might only get 6 months probation out of it and a fine. It's a community service. First offense. Find you $1,000, 6 months probation, do whatever, your 80 hours of community service, and then you're good. Don't do it again. They love community service in Texas. They'd be handing that out like candy for misdemeanors. Well, music, we get all sorts of tools. Do you know that I get to see whenever people re-upload and steal my videos? It tells me. You don't have to look for them. I get a printout. I get a full list of what video they took it from, what percentage of their video has an overlap with mine, everything. So any video I've uploaded, if someone takes a chunk of it and remixes it, it tells me. So all my little hate channels and all that, I see all of it. Like I get a little list. It's a whole tab. There's a whole tab dedicated to it called content detection. There we go. All right. No. When I had a community manager, they did. So if they ever put me back in that program where I did weekly calls with the community manager. They just deleted everybody. She just sorted it out. She just said, "Yeah, give me a list," and she looked at them and they deleted them. That's how the what's his name went away too. What was that dude's name? The Israeli dude. They just deleted him. It's like, yeah, this is against rules. So yeah, I mean that would just resolve a lot of it. I just give her a list. They deleted like 12 people. Some of them had hundreds of videos because they're like, oh yeah, this is unacceptable. But you have direct meetings every week, right? With your representative at Google. Because you do video calls with them. So she got rid of that, what's his name? I can't even remember. Natural lifter or whatever his name was. They just deleted him. They're like, yeah, he's out here. Just explain the situation. Spray is a good defense weapon. You can't what? I wouldn't know, man. I'm not gonna tell you music. You're gonna have to research it. We get a lot of tools. We get a lot of analytics. We get tons of stuff. We do have access. I have direct access, but I don't have the video calls where they handle stuff to that degree. Yeah, but just report them, Jake. So report them. Report those videos, man. They'll eventually get to them. We get a lot of really advanced analytics music, like highly, highly detailed analytics, suggestions. But definitely we get content detection. So we have whole toolboxes in our creator studio. I don't use normal YouTube. So to me, YouTube doesn't look like what it looks like to you. I don't know what I don't even use the homepage. I don't use any of that stuff. Right. I use Creator Studio for everything. Shadow Man, yeah, Shadow Man. They deleted Shadow Man straight up. I sent that to Olivia, and she's like, "Oh yeah, this guy's got to go." Like, yeah, this is clear violation of our rules. Yep. They deleted him, just straight up. Well, yeah, this is not acceptable. So if I ever go back into the Google Manager program, they make you sign NFAs for that. Like, I can't talk about some of it because I signed a contract with Google. As far as there's certain things we were not allowed to discuss with what they do. So, and keep in mind, Google's got legal power. So if you sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, that's legally binding. Google can afford lawyers. Yeah. No, they deleted Shadow Man. That's who this was. No, they straight up just deleted him. They're like, he's out of here. So I got about 12 of those channels all just went away because that's against the rules. Like technically, Natural Hypertrophy series would have been deleted also if I was in the program when that all popped up. They would have just banned him. Like that is an absolute violation of their terms of service. So, but they don't report it. It's been a problem. I've talked with them about it. Yeah, he should be. I technically, if he had money and I knew where he lived, I probably could. You know, the problem is where he lives and stuff. Music, it's not hard to figure it out. Right? Go read the rules. So music, literally just go read the rules. The terms of service that we agree to are publicly available. And when you start making videos, you agree to those terms of service in a legal contract. But that was the thing. So when they put you in that program, they tell you a lot of stuff about the algorithm too, but you have to sign a contract. You know, so yeah, they're breaking YouTube's terms of service. So that entire series is a violation of the terms of service that natural hypertrophy did. And so if they ever decide that it's a terms, oh, Shadow Man, yeah, it was Shadow Man. His real name is Rami Bro. It's his legal name, but now YouTube just deleted him. They're like, oh, yeah, this is definitely a problem. Yeah. Um, but that's the thing. If they ever enroll me in a program like that again, natural hypertrophy is gone. His whole channel will be deleted because those videos are a violation. Um, and I've had to argue with my regular people about it, but I'm also not in the manager program to where I can get in a video call with them. Okay, music. So now you're going to bring up that crazy nonsense. So you've watched all that and you're in my thing. Right. So peppermint. Yeah, exactly. There we go. So peppermint or Connor. You guys both got the stars. Would you like to initiate a vote? That's up to you. Yeah. That video would be a violation of the terms of service, yes. Okay, Connor's called for a kapow. I'm conflicted. I do like music. We have one kapow. Kapow. I mean, music be talking about thuggish stuff in here, but I've been cool about it. Kapow from Bocephus. Kapow from James. You have been found guilty by a jury of your peers, Music Saint Light. You also have committed known gun felonies in the state of Texas and admitted to it. So I sentence you to death. Kapow! And you out of here. And he's out. I was super chill about that other one. Him admitting that he let a friend of his with a burglary conviction handle his firearm. Like, bro. But there we go. Then you got to bring up a crazy hate documentary that went viral. But no, technically those videos are against the rules. Yeah. But because they're on big channels with big outreaches, they tend to be very, very reluctant to hit them. But there's something deeply satisfying about digital mob justice. All right, guys, I'm gonna be right back. We didn't get any supers in here. What? That's crazy. Yesterday was crazy though. For a breakfast chat or coffee chat, clearing more than 30 in supers was cray cray. I'm gonna be right back. I need coffee. Had a little cray cray. Right? That sounds like a leaf blower. No, that's a leaf blower, dude. It's made by the. Oh. Yeah, it's a leaf blower. But mm. No, I mean I was really chill with music, but I picked up a bunch of stuff there. Like definitely the vibe check. You know, anyone seen? No one's heard from Lars since the surgery, man. Lars hasn't been in at all. He has not been in at all. No. So, guys, help me come up with a good Facebook fitness status while we in here. Well, let's just go down the road with music. You guys talk about my vibe check. Dual citizenship, Mexico and U.S. Lives in Texas. Very familiar with the thuggish areas of Dallas Fort Worth. When I discussed using the military to take out cartels, he said it would be impossible and talked about how organizing the military might and all the firepower, and he just said it wasn't possible. Right? Our military couldn't take down the cartels from Mexico. Into really cheap garbage guns, talking about maybe becoming a security guard with it. Admitted that his one firearm that he owns, he allowed one of his friends who was a convicted burglar to handle it and touch it one day, which is again prisonable offense for him to do that. See where we're going with all this? Well, no, I'm about to go somewhere else with it. What are the probability that he's a gang member? Or at very least heavily associated with no known gang members. Right. So if we were betting, taking odds there was money on the line. I'm saying pretty good. I think 60% now associates with real high. Yeah. Okay. For me as a Texan who's around a lot of this stuff, he doesn't pass my vibe check. This falls into the category of shady individuals that you don't want to be around. All right. So keep in mind, everyone has access to the internet. You are providing bits of info to him. Yep. Exactly. No, I had him pegged as a gang member already a week ago. So know who you're dealing with. That's one of the laws of power, guys. Always know who you're dealing with. I remember the story of the Mexican rancher who took out quite a few cartel members before they got him because they wanted his land, right? So, oh, he admitted it. But he later said, well, yeah, but that guy's dead now. You know? Now, that's a felony, by the way. Here, again, we're very free on this stuff, but if you knowingly give a violent felony, someone who's lost their firearm rights, if you knowingly give them a firearm, knowing that is a felony, you can go to prison for that. Just back from a 1 mile run, felt good. Good stuff, Ryan. Ryan's coming along. Ryan's coming along. Sorry, reading a couple of the Facebook posts. Is that a leaf blower? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he also went on about rehabilitating prisoners. Do you guys catch that too? You guys catch that? I caught that too. No, he felt like prisons needed to be made safer for prisoners. Overly concerned with the safety of inmates. Yeah, caught that one also. Again, let's sound very Texan. I'd bet a dime to a donut hole that he was a member of the Latin Kings. Yeah, so with who he associated with, connect the dots. Yeah. It's like, all right, dude. You're talking about, right? A person needs, especially with the violent offenders, right? So, I'm just saying, guys, right? Right? Not hard to figure out, guys. Because I do know gang members here in the Houston area. I'm not saying I go hang out with them. I'm not saying they're all still alive, but do I personally know several Tango Blast guys? Yeah, I know several of them. Doesn't mean I'm buddy with them out there, but know who you're dealing with. All right. Same thing. I know several guys who are members of the Banditos, which is an outlaw motorcycle gang. Doesn't mean I go hang out with them, buddy with them. But know who you're dealing with. Yeah, it's worse as more of a deterrent it would be. Well, again, I think in that case, truly bad people don't care about the deterrent, Connor. That's kind of the point, isn't it? They don't really care, you know. When you're dealing with a certain element in society, there's a point they don't really care about the deterrent. Right. I think a lot of people out there have not met truly dangerous, violent people. You've not met them. I saw a video of an elite bencher in a commercial gym benching up to 6+ plates, and people standing around him looking upset when he pressed heavy. Right? This was in the UK. Places like Saudi Arabia, they chop the thieves' hands off. Well, yeah, it's going to be a lot lower. True. I mean, good point, Connor. I mean, extreme deterrent. Extreme deterrent. Right. I mean, yeah, when you see a dude benching 6 plates aside, I think most people are going to be like, is this really, really happening? Especially if it's raw. Right. Good morning, Coach. What's up, David? We're getting the regulars through. So, guys, help me with some Facebook statuses. We need some good topics. I need to hammer that really hard this morning for the fitness, since I'm not going to do a bunch of other videos. These have all been a little weak so far. That one got 28 comments so far from this morning. No. Yeah, that might be a life-changing experience seeing that, right? Well, I think it lets people know how low their standards really are, you know, of what is actually possible. But again, it's because people don't train in these gyms. And that's why I've had people get upset when I throw out the dad bod strength standard. And I'm like, guys, is it really, really that unrealistic? If you even spend enough time in the gym. And I get it, there's going to be an age break where it gets harder. I'm at that age break where it's no longer almost unreasonable. Because look at the lifestyle I have to live to be at the strength I'm at. Oh, I mean, I am not doing really memes. It's okay. They're nothing crazy. I have to do the memes mostly on my profile though, and it's just way low key compared to my page because they've got to be group posts mostly, and I only have 10,000 followers on my profile. So it's really small money. But I do the fitness stuff on my fitness page. I used to do the memes on. I'd say extreme deterrence should be applied in our countries, right? But the thing is, obviously, people have to know ahead of time. What would be your dad bod front squat? I don't know. Because front squats tend to be limited by rack strength, not leg strength. So it's kind of hard to set that. That's the problem with using a front squat for a strength standard. The majority of people are not going to be, they're going to be limited by their ability to how much weight can they rack. I mean, so for me, it would be insanely low because of my shoulder mobility. I can't rack a lot of weight. But normally, like about 80% of your back squat. Someone who trains both at a serious level can usually front squat about 80% of their back squat. So carry the math over. What's 80% of 405? It's going to be in the low 300s. But then dudes are like, well, that's crazy. From a leg strength, it's reasonable. If you can back squat 405, your legs could easily front squat 315. Can you hold the rack position on it though? You know, so you got Connor 324. Yeah, I threw out 315 randomly. I knew it would be in the low 300s. I missed it by 9 pounds with just a random. So, so therein lay the problem with that standard. The rack position is going to be your limit usually, you know. But I think it's a great exercise, but you're limited. And people say the cross arm has its problems too. I see weak people everywhere was a goated video by Coach. It was. I see weak people. And how much of that is because of the bodybuilding culture that's been pushed and all the machines and other stuff? It's allowed people to be lazy. Okay, so your right shoulder. So David, what are your ratios looking like? So what is your bench, front squat, and your deadlift then for the standard? Right position all the way for front squats, right? Now, if we're going to talk about developing some athleticism, though, man, that rack position front squat could have some benefits. Back to the days where guys had to clean the weight, man, that really limits the weight, though. Because, dude, how many dudes out there can even clean 315? That's a relative rarity. You tried his sissy? No, I've never tried sissy hack squats. Haven't tried that. How does that even work? I remember years ago I was watching some stuff at a high school gym, and one of the football players at a high school gym. This is 12, 13 years ago. I saw this video come through on YouTube. Bro, this high school football player took 315, cleaned it off the floor, and did 6 reps on the front squat, and then cleaned it back, dropped it back on the floor. Just damn, bro. Imagine being that strong in high school. Man. Is milk and fruit a decent base? I mean, these are foods that can be part of a decent base, but I mean, realistically, why are you picking milk and fruit? I mean, they're great foods, but I don't know that I would use that as my base per se. Yeah, I can't front squat due to breaking my arm years ago, right? Squatting Barkley, clean 405 in college and so yeah. I mean, there's dudes out there who clean those sort of weights. I mean, we see them, but still, man. I'm talking a high school guy, just straight up 315 off the floor, full clean, and then does 6 ass to grass front squats with it, and then drops it back on the floor. No rack or anything, just right off the floor on the platform. You know? No, those are good foods, and I don't see the issue. But I'm curious, why limit yourself to just fruit and milk as a base? Most people would choose a starch and a meat, but it's just easier overall, better balance. Problem is if it's just fruit and then milk. I don't know, man. Your blood sugar might feel a little wonky on that unless you have really, really good insulin sensitivity, in which case you'll feel fine. Usually in the morning, eat eggs, chicken, and rice meal 2 and 3, and pre-workout shake. Meal 5, steak and potatoes. Meal 6, salmon and kiwi. Yeah, so that's pretty reasonable, Connor. I do chicken and rice usually for breakfast these days. But I mean, my breaking my fast is noon, but still. All right. So the bells are going up sooner or later. I got to figure out how I won't even hang them. I don't really have a hanger. I had something someone gave me as a gift for that. I've got to dig it up and see if I can make that work. Why are we? You discuss Ray Pete is an absolute crazy ass quack who promotes saturated fat. That's all I know about Ray Pete. That's all I need to know about him. Do you have any off-plan meals each week? No, not really. No, not lately. Not for a long time. Usually when I've run into issues and people are like, oh, you're not looking as lean as when I've been eating just too much peanut butter. So I quit buying peanut butter. Like that's the best solution for me. Just don't have a bunch of peanut butter. That's what messes me up. I'll way overeat peanut butter in the afternoon. Man, I'm a little hungry. That extra spoonful of peanut butter won't hurt. It's 500 calories. If I went a lower carb route, though, I could actually get away with it, and I would look a lot leaner. Because I used to, that's how I ate even when everyone's like, oh, you look so lean, but I was on no carbs. But yeah, I would eat tons of peanut butter and stuff all the time. But I had like 40 grams of carbs a day, so it made me just look leaner than when I'm eating 600 or 700 grams of carbs. All right. So usually anyone who's promoting saturated fat is a quackery at any point. Anyone who's telling you should be deliberately adding any type of saturated fat to your diet. The evidence is so overwhelming that we should moderate saturated fat. And I'm not saying saturated fat in moderation is harmful. But this isn't even the subject to debate anymore. At this point in the game, telling people to add saturated fat to their diet, to directly add it for any reason, it's like telling people, well, you should add a little bit of tobacco. It's like, come on, guys. This is not conspiracy. This is no longer just some biased data. This is overwhelming amounts of data from around the globe for generations. Like, we know that saturated fat, and as the data accumulates, it's not been good. Like, I'll see the people on the other end, they'll say things like, well, the newest science. I'm like, what do you mean? Right? Like, what do you mean the newest science? Every time they look closer, it's like, man, we find some really serious metabolic issues in the lab, repeatedly. Right? Particularly when it comes to stuff like liver fat, when it comes to things like insulin resistance. Like saturated fat actually outperforms refined sugar for that. When it's studied head to head directly in measurements in the laboratory, in the metabolic ward, in controlled clinical trials, when they directly measure this stuff, those negative metabolic effects, saturated fat is slightly worse than refined sugar. Not by a big margin, but it is measurably. In Europeans, I mean, white people, truth, we're talking in America. Yes. And yeah, you're correct. We have evolved to handle saturated fat better than other groups. Way better. We have the highest tolerance to it. But still, and that's why I pointed that out with that keto study of why it was so damning. It debunked that single keto funded bias study where they cherry picked should have been the death blow to high saturated fat keto diets. Their own research from their biased people who funded it was the death blow. Because who did they choose for their cherry pick group for the study this year? Right? Keep in mind, this was pro keto interest, did the research, gathered the data, funded all of it. Who'd they pick? 85% of them were white men, white males. Right? They were all at healthy body weights. They all worked out. None of them were obese. They all lifted weights. They were white males. Bro, you can't cherry pick a better group. And yet the atherosclerosis rate and the plaque rate was through the roof. And it correlated with their elevated LDL. They all had high LDL, and they all had enormous amounts of new plaque formation inside that year. Hey, Truth, I don't know what carb sensitivity means. Like guys use that term, there's no meaning to that. So I don't know medically what you guys mean when you say a high sensitivity to carbs. What does that mean? Because that's not a medical measurable term. So I don't know what that actually means. You just throw that word around with no definition. What do you actually mean? Connor's a psychologist. Peppermint is a biologist, by the way, and he's in here. He said the same thing. Okay. They mean a high insulin sensitivity? Dude, hammer them carbs like a mofo then. My insulin sensitivity is crazy high. My diet is mostly carbohydrate. Right. Emotional dysregulation and high propensity to add fat. So you gain body fat easily? Then you need to avoid dietary fat. Eat carbs. That's very straightforward, man. I always have low blood sugar. My fasting glucose tends to be below the reference range on blood work. So I actually have low blood sugar usually, which you would expect for someone who has a high insulin sensitivity. Insulin resistant people tend to have high blood sugar even on low carb diets, by the way. So mine's usually a little below the reference range just by a couple points. So I tend to be slightly hypoglycemic on blood work. While eating carbs, obviously. So. But it makes sense. I'm a pretty muscular athlete with a lot of muscle mass with high energy output. McDougall's reversing diabetes and reversing insulin just on high starch, low fat diet, but vegans are not the right. Because you don't have to be vegan to do that. Right. I agree, Connor. People just need to eat a healthy, balanced micronutrient, lift heavy, do cardio. Right. If I eat carbs and my insulin spikes, causing dysregulation, hunger, I end up going with intermittent fasting and a high-fat keto. So that high-fat keto diet is going to make your insulin sensitivity even worse. Saturated fat makes you insulin resistant, including in keto people. This has been pretty confirmed in the lab. But keto's not the problem, Connor. So Connor, look at the same research on low saturated fat keto diets. And they're compared head to head in a clinical environment. They look nothing alike. All of the problems from the keto diet come from the saturated fat. It's not the keto diet. Dr. Berger's a quack. He's a chiropractor, but he's a quack. He's a known grifter, dude. So and there's interest in the keto diets clinically because they're used to treat things like epilepsy. So go pull up, if you look at the epilepsy studies on people who were given keto diets to treat epilepsy, when they're given polyunsaturated fats instead of saturated fat, the blood work looks nothing alike. So even when they're given seed oils, their blood work looks better than if they do high saturated fat, dramatically better. Yeah, the vast majority of keto eat high, which is the problem. Right? It's because saturated fat is inflammatory and estrogens. Well, there's also a dysregulation with saturated fat in your muscle tissue at the receptor level. Essentially, the best way to describe it is that it gums up the receptors, kind of, is how the researchers have described it. So then it increases insulin resistance in the muscle tissue. Too much saturated fat causes that. But here's the problem. People say the high PUFA diet isn't good. Okay, you're saying that. Do you have any evidence? Please note, I do a really high carb. I don't need a lot of fat right now. So it's not about me. Do you have medically provable or scientific evidence to support that? That's a really common thing that people say, but they don't actually have proof. It would be the equivalent of if flat earth theory got extremely popular and had a massive following, right? And then everyone says, yeah, but I mean, a lot of people say that the earth is flat. Tons of people know that the earth is flat. Be like, okay, but do you have proof of this? No, do you have evidence? This is where this theory breaks down. Do you have actual studies from around the world showing this? Or is it an extremely popular myth in fad diet circles? It's the latter. There's no evidence of this. You don't actually have evidence for this statement. Now, I'm going to agree with Connor. Honestly, if you're lifting, carbs are probably a better overall calorie source than PUFAs. Let's just be realistic here. Carbs are way better. You're going to train way better on carbs. You're probably going to have potentially better muscle growth. But there could be something to be said for a high PUFA in that environment if you were trying to do certain things with inflammation. Probably, if you're trying to get inflammation as low as possible, though, we can make a case for that. The Eskimos, people bring them up, but they're also unhealthy with a short lifespan. No, I think we should totally use the Eskimos. No, people weren't doing keto. Nobody was doing keto. What do you mean we evolved for saturated fat? Where were they getting it? You've been listening to way too much fringe stuff and not been actually looking at what anthropologists say. Bro, where are you coming up with this? This is where this fringe carnivore movement pulls really strange friend data. Okay. All right. So if you look at most of the data we have, say, for Paleolithic humans around the world, the majority of our ancestors probably ate between 70 to 80% plant calories, around 20 to 30% roughly animal source, including mostly bugs. I'm not telling you to eat bugs. I'm not going to eat bugs. I'm not interested in eating bugs. If you're going to talk about Historically, though, if you're going to go back to pre-agricultural times, you have to talk about bugs. You ate more bugs than you did meat. So here's how carnivore people love to act. Right? Here's the sort of stuff they love to do, right? You ready? But it was proven that ancient humans were hypercarnivores. By one university in Tel Aviv, Israel, in a very controversial finding. Do you want to know what they mean by that? So the humans we're talking about, they found some ancient remains in the southern portion of South America, the northern portion of South America, up near the Brazil, or not Brazil, Venezuela, all of that, right? What species was it? We're Homo sapien. So what species was this data pulled on? Do you know what species it was? The hypercarnivore species that were proven. It was Homo erectus. Homo erectus had an average lifespan of 30 years. They had probably a 40 to 50 IQ. They were too stupid to talk. They did not have language. They couldn't speak. They look very similar to you. They would look like, to you, a chimpanzee and a human had a baby together as a hybrid that survived. Would be about what it looked like, right? So they're about 3 to 4 feet tall, really hairy, not capable of speech. So what do they mean by hypercarnivore? 70% animal source, including bugs, about 30% plants. You know. But their whole study was on Homo erectus. So we don't have cases of any hypercarnivore in Homo sapien. I might have been on the wrong continent there. I think you may be right. But it was definitely in Homo erectus. That was not Homo sapien. Homo erectus. He said Homo erectus. All right. But back over to not being funny. Connor, why'd you do this to me? You're a psychologist. You know better. Stop it. All right. He says Homo erectus. All right. But so what does this have to do with your species? Yeah, most of our ancestors were heavy starch eaters. And half your meat came from bugs. Again, I'm not telling you to eat bugs. I don't eat bugs. But I'm also not making an appeal to nature fallacy. If you're going to do the appeal to nature, you got to eat bugs. But the Homo erectus ate plants too, right? So, but the whole point, people say we evolved to eat all this. Really, who? Where? The only group of humans that seem to have evolved to eat large saturated fat is one group and one group only, and that was the Inuits, the Eskimos. Yeah, we still laugh. Okay, problem. All the remains we found of them on their ancestral diet, they have atherosclerosis even in their 20s. High rate of atherosclerosis. The average life expectancy of Inuits on their traditional diet is 50 to 55 years old. We have these 2 points. Number 3, they developed a gene to make them resistant to entering ketosis. So you're like, well, we evolved to eat a ketogenic diet. You have one group ancestrally, which comprised far less than 1% of the human race, that evolved to it. In that environment, they literally developed a gene to make them resistant to going into ketosis. I mean, damn. So we should totally use the Inuits. Let's absolutely discuss the Inuits. But let's keep it in the real context. They're a bunch of fat asses with short lives who. Let's get rid of this. Now, Stacy. Read your channel. I already know where you're at. All right. With short lives who can't even enter ketosis because they have a gene trying to block their body from doing it. This speaks volumes. Right. And again, talking of enzymes to digest starch. Enzymes to digest starch. That's a conversation. It's one of the differences noticed in domesticated dogs versus wolves. You know that domestic dogs, which are wolves genetically, they are wolves that we've basically selectively bred, produce 40 times the amount of enzyme to digest starch than wild wolves do. In that short time period, just living in proximity to humans for thousands of years, we went to that. Because we eat so much starch historically that even our domesticated dogs have developed the genes to do it. Interesting. But guys, I probably need to wind this down. I got to get some other stuff done. Can't stay on here forever. Been the longest. We didn't get a single super chat in the longest live stream we've ever done. Oh well, I'll live with it. So I'm probably going to wind it down though, guys. So I'm out of here, guys. Love you guys. But we're probably out.